Okay, so let's start. Yeah, we have only 40 minutes, so I think it will be a speedy temp. So let's move on. First of all, our talk is about the multicultural difference. I think you realize it. And it's also some kind of cooking class. So someone is asking for a recipe. Yeah, it will be. The man with the clicker.
That's who we are. Not who we are, yeah, but you know, some blah 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 about us. Vadim and Andriy. For last 5 to 6 years, I think we are busy with helping different organizations, teams, businesses to introduce agile values and principles into their reality. Yeah, that's what we do, and that's we would like to share with you our experience about it.
Also would like to put a disclaimer here because we'll be talking a lot about difference, about nations. It will be some observations that will be for sure subjective, and we just would like to highlight it again. So yes, it will be subjective experience based on more than 10 years in a project management direction.
Yeah, and you know, the most of the coaches in public speaking, they usually tell you when you should never ever talk about race, talk about sex, talk about politics, nations, whatever. We're not going to do that, of course, today. Yeah, but we somewhere there closer to that area, and we would like to underline that this is subjective. Though we try to do our best to find scientific confirmation for our thoughts, and yeah, but we will be really happy to hear the feedback. If you think that something we sharing is wrong and your experience is different, let's talk about it. Yeah, basically that's where we get our experience. We worked with some companies back then, and also some nations were involved, some national cultures. If you ask me, there were some pretty exotic for Ukrainian, like Malta, like Australia, and I think we kind of have something to tell you about it.
So why BORSCH? Yeah, Wikipedia says it's multi-component soup, and technologically it's difficult to cook, right? So the same is happening with us when we are traveling between the different locations and experiencing this cultural difference. So for sure we have something to tell you. For the 3 years we're working for Playtech. It's one of the biggest B2B gambling platform provider. They have 5 offices, as you can see from the flags. The big one, and speaking about the changes, yes, we are helping to adopt Agile to help with operation efficiency. And basically, speaking about the number of people, around 1,500 people were at least, how to say, affected by our changes.
Yeah, and when we worked with those parts of the company with those units, we not only introduced Agile on the level of a unit itself, we also did it on a cross-unit level, and that means, of course, making different people from different countries working together, and that's where all these cultural differences arise at their full glory. Basically, during these 3 years, there were a lot of different experience, and we got so emotional about it, fighting all those challenges, multicultural stuff, that we wanted to talk to you about it. And when we started preparing, we thought that maybe there is something already done in the scientific area. Maybe there are some scientific works or some books about it. And we found out one book that we believe is very close to what our experience tells us.
So yeah, basically we find out the cultural map book by Erin Meyer. She's a professor in INSEAD, so it's a business school, French one. If I'm not mistaken, they have a lot of campuses around the globe, even in Asia, in Japan, in Europe, and so on. So we take a look into the book. We also analyze the data that she's providing, and we could say that yes, subjectively we can agree, and we will use this framework in our workshop.
Yeah, initially we were skeptical, by the way, about all this scientific stuff, but you know, somehow she managed to convince us that this is more or less relevant. Okay, let's talk quickly about the framework she proposes, because we will try to use it how to say, to make the frame around our examples. So basically, this framework has 8 dimensions. The first dimension is communication. Any culture might be on a scale from low context to high context. Low context means pretty direct, precise communication. I tell what I mean what I tell, that kind of stuff. High context means that I tell you something, but you need to be aware about that there is a message behind it that might be not that direct and equal to my words, that you should read the air, read between the lines, and stuff like that. Evaluating, it's about providing, how easy it's to provide direct negative feedback. If you have something negative to tell to your colleague, for example, how easy for you is to tell it to your subordinate, to your manager, whatever kind of negative feedback. It's about leading egalitarian and hierarchical. This is about distance between manager and his employee. If the people in the organization are more or less equal, status is not that important, you can consider egalitarian. Deciding, well, I think deciding is self-explanatory, right? So how decision is taken. If it's the manager that takes the decision or the group itself, finding the consensus, stuff like that.
The next 4 dimensions, trusting. Yeah, so does the trusting based on the working experience? Yeah, I've been working with him for a long period. We have a successful projects. I can rely on this working experience, or it's mostly relationship. Yeah, so something that is coming from the personal life. For example, we spend a lot time together during team buildings. I know his, I don't know, motivation, background. I know the friend that knows him and trusts him. So why not to trust this person? Disagreeing, yeah, it's about confrontation and can you confront, can you argue easily, or it's mostly about avoid and try to find a room where you could share disagreement. Scheduling, it's about, okay, are we focused on a strict schedule, sequential stuff, we are focused, we are not multitasking, we'd like to follow our commitments, or we are flexible. We can handle 20 projects in a parallel, postpone some of them, add some people, engineers, resources, whatever. And persuading, it's about, okay, how you convey the message. Do you need some theoretical explanation, mention some books, some, I don't know, some serious articles, or it's mostly about, okay, my experience. It worked for me 5 years ago in a previous company, let's use it now. That works, just easy, get to the business.
Yeah, it's how you convince the people. Okay, basically before talking about other cultures, yeah, I think it would be fair to talk about Ukrainians first. So that's basically how it looks like from the works of
Let's check.
Yeah, of Erin. And yeah, guys, Ukrainians, can you raise a hand here? Uh-huh.
Can you easily disagree and say bullshit if we'll be talking bullshit? Yes?
Yep. So basically, yeah, again, low context, high context. We are more to high context nature, having the message between the lines somehow. You can consider that comparing to Americans, yeah? Americans tend to be very direct, very clear in conveying their messages. That is my experience. Yeah, if you compare Americans to UK, yeah, I would agree that with Englishmen it's much more harder to get the message. But with, you know, all of this is relative. Of course, sometimes you can work with the people who kind of show you the different behavior, right? But this is the generalization of a culture, what is considered in culture normal, and what is considered in culture more or less unusual, right? So this is not about black and white. it's more like relative. We compare different nations. So we cannot say that if Americans are on the left part of the low context, they always put the direct message. No, it's not the case.
But at least I think, Andriy, you can agree about this disagreement, right? We are on the left, confrontational. So,
And
yeah, I don't
providing
agree.
negative feedback, right? Immediately. That's what you face basically. When we work home, basically not traveling, work home, we may be sure 100% that if we're doing something wrong from the point of view of the people, they will tell us immediately. Immediately, you need to work with that somehow. What is interesting here also?
Persuading, yeah.
Yeah.
Principle first, I think it's based on the educational level, because in the post-Soviet Union it was a lot of attention to the universities and all this stuff. So people usually, we Ukrainians, explain a lot, like background, why we are thinking we need to go in this way, and not saying like, okay, let's do it because it works. Yeah.
Do you have any questions about the framework itself? I mean, the definition of those directions. Yep.
I'm from the Netherlands.
Yep.
I work with people here in Kiev. This is correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. We will, at the end, we'll share the links. It's not in presentation, but it will be like a next version, and we will share.
Okay, we have a framework here, but our goal initially was to understand how different cultures and their specifics help us or prevents us from introducing Agile values, Agile principles. So let's briefly talk about Agile itself. We're not going to discuss Agile manifesto with you, of course, guys, but we wanted just to underline some important things that we think are important. Yeah, so basically Agile is considered usually as a weapon against the waterfall. Yeah, this is how most of the people, I believe, consider it. Yeah, you can see a lot of stuff here, some maybe citation from the manifesto itself. In general, Andriy, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but just in a couple of words, yeah. Is it team up? Do you propose team approach or resource pools? Yeah, so I have a lot of people. I have the flexibility. Let's adjust for every project. I see smiling faces from the audience. Yes, okay. Cross-functionality versus functional structure. We have a lot of companies that are keen to use this functional structure for some reason, and we will explain later on about the reasoning. What else? Highest priority is satisfy the customer. Yeah, if we are talking about the Israel, yeah, they are on the short distance to the client. Let's do it. Let's get a quick win. Let's get the benefits. So basically, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in details when we
Yes.
start discussing culture by culture from our experience.
In addition to that, Agile is not also about the versus waterfall, but it helps to structure chaos. Yeah, if you have the focus on individuals, so the Agile promotes team approach. If, for example, the business push a lot of pressure on business features, that means that you will struggle with technical excellence and scalability. So Agile is not, as some people say, oh, no documentation or something like that. No, it also helps structure to put the structure.
Yeah, there is bigger chaos than Agile, we say to guys from waterfall organizations. Okay, I think it's time to talk about our precious cultures that we worked with. So the first one is Israel. Yeah, this is Israel from the framework. It kind of gives the idea what they are, but I think it will be much more interesting seeing a lot of Ukrainians here to compare it with Ukrainians immediately, right? And to see where the interesting stuff goes. So, first of all, we are very close regarding the negative feedback here, right? However, even us, we're really shocked sometimes how direct negative feedback might be.
For example, from one of the top managers, I got something like, you know, thanks for helping my business unit for 6 months, but to be honest, I would like to share some shit with you. And me like, what? It's even too much for Ukrainians. And then you adjust, you know that, yeah, he wanted just, that's the form, how he explains that he has some problematic cases, and he would like to share the opinion, yeah?
About the leading here, they are egalitarian here. It's very often thing when you see some person from C-level of a company having lunch with, I don't know, someone from the team, DevOps engineer, something like that, discussing a lot of stuff, being very open. So the distance really is very, very low, and status is not that important for Israeli people.
For disagreeing, yes. Does anyone participated in a tough conversation where is a lot of Israeli guys in one big room? Can you raise a hand?
How it looks like, guys?
So it's small war, and I think you're thinking about calling 911, yeah? But at the end, they will shake the hand and will go to the coffee machine and start talking, laughing, and you think, okay, so, okay, it was just conversation. Yep.
Yeah. And the funny thing about persuading, yeah, so once we're introducing some new ideas, some new things into organization, we need to convince somehow. And usually we convince from the principal perspective. So for example, if you have a discussion with your Israeli colleague who needs to address somehow some roles and responsibilities in his unit and stuff like that, you start telling him about, okay, there are different kinds of organizational structures, here are the roles, responsibilities. Guys, you are too theoretical. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do, we will try it and we will see. Or, I have this and this and this in my past, in my experience, let's just apply it. Why not? Don't tell me this theory, so to say. So, completely different opinions about it.
And coming forward, you also would like to highlight some kind of compliance. Yes, it's compliance because we just put the most important things that we think it's a bit problematic with this culture. So, for example, micromanagement. Yeah, it's completely normal to get from the head of the unit that manage like 200, 300 people, detailed explanation about all projects, about all timelines, about estimates inside, about dependencies, and he care about that. Yes, that's micromanagement, but for him it's normal. It's expected from him by the topper, by a higher level management. So that's just a hierarchy of micromanagement.
If you talk about individuals here, it's very often when we see that when you talk about teamwork, it doesn't work like this for Israeli. They say, okay, we have 7 people on the team. Okay, so let's put there from 7 to 10 tasks. So each of them will have task and also another one, and they will do it separately. They don't need interaction because it's just not efficient. Okay.
But from the strong points, yes, they are welcome changes. If you have some important stakeholders that give some request, it could be handled by development centers quickly, even over the night, or even by a head of unit if he knows how to develop the code and verify it. Highest priority is satisfy the customer. Yeah, even if we have some roadmap, some architectures that needs to be deployed, and on top of that we need to roll out some feature. No, guys, it's too long. Yes, let's make it on the old platform because it will be a quick win. It will be a money flow immediately. So let's do it.
Yeah, business features over non-functional requirements and technical debt starting to grow. In addition to that, also some of our observation, 24/7 availability, of course, some firefighting that happens here and there. Easy to establish personal connection. This is very, very important, and we see that one of the biggest traits. They are very people-oriented people, and it's very easy to get along and very easy to start talking about anything, on any level of a problem, on any level of the organization.
Yeah, for example, a colleague from Israel sent me pictures from Kiev. Okay, I'm here. Do you want to hang out, to drink some coffee? I'm here with my wife. Here the photos with my wife. So for me, it was like, it's like he's sharing his personal space, yeah, his family details, and I know him maybe, I don't know, during one day. Yeah, no more.
Okay, let's move on. The next one is Bulgaria. Do we have any Bulgarians in the audience?
Raise the hand.
Very good. Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't find the Bulgaria in the data from the Erin mayors. So we kind of cheated. What we did, we tried to take the information about the neighbor countries around the Bulgaria. So we took Greece and Romania, but then we thought, come on, they're not Slavic, so let's put some Slavic there, and we added also Ukraine. Yeah, and what was really interesting that we see that we kind of can,
But don't
the-
say Romania, yeah? It's just,
yeah.
we agree mostly with the yellow line, yeah.
Yeah, so from our judgment, from our personal judgment, yellow one is more relevant to what we see in the from our experience. Yeah, where to start with? Yeah, in general, you can see that yellow one and red one here, yellow one and red one here. The others are more or less the same. So we can consider Bulgarians very similar to Ukrainians, and they just a little bit more calm. And they get nervous when we start during the some kind of a meeting. We start our coaching session, providing negative feedback directly. Guys, you're doing it wrong. They, whoa, 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 whoa! You're ruining our atmosphere. Wait a second. So, but in general, we really enjoy the how to say the similarity between these two cultures, and it's easy to work. Really easy to work. There is nothing really specific about being good or about bad towards Agile. The one thing is that due to this calmness, so to say, it's always hard to fight the functional structures in organizations because people just get used to it. They work like this over the years, and it's something that really takes time to overcome.
Yeah, from the observations, it was an interesting case when we talk a lot with the leadership group, yeah, the middle management and top management, explain some concept, propose some ideas, and at the end we ask like, okay guys, any questions? And they're like, no. But just in a few minutes in the corridor, they're catching you and asking really good questions. And you're answering like, guys, why you was so silent? And a quotation from Bulgarian guy, we're Bulgarian, we don't ask questions. So I don't know, is it joke or not, but it sounds similar.
I personally heard it from the different people, right? And they were really serious about it. That maybe they were just making the joke, like we tell about us that we drinking gorilka and stuff like that, and with bears on the streets. But really, that's kind of the thing.
Another funny moment was that I know the background of this business unit in Sofia. I know how it works from tools perspective, from the process perspective, and I was trying to reach the attention from quality assurance engineers. And I was talking to them about some details and test cases and so on, so on, so on.
Very
and
patiently, like,
and they see,
guys.
yes, see connection. Yes. So do you agree? And they're like, and me like, why no? Why? And then I realized, yes, that's the cultural difference. You need to be aware of that because when they say this, that means yes. So yes, just the things that you need to take into account.
Yeah,
nothing
but
special.
somehow after all these years, we still didn't get used to it for full extent for some reason. Let's move on to UK. Yeah, here I think this is the first time when we see something very different, right, from what we have seen already. So they were like things like here, here, there, and if you compare to Ukraine, that's where we are opposite for some reason. If you draw the line in the center, you see that where we are on the right, they are on the left, and then vice versa. Where it more prominently shows us the difference, probably the negative feedback.
Yeah, it's about evaluating, yeah. Just one case, team makes a big effort, makes a demo, and then, okay, product owners give us a feedback. And they just clapping, says, wow, wonderful work, just perfect. And at the end, they just catch Scrum Master and says, we are slightly disappointed. And he like, what does it mean? Slightly disappointed, you happy? Okay, can you briefly describe? And at the end, they get a tough feedback that it's completely bad implementation, wrong features, all this stuff. So it's about giving the indirect negative feedback. Yeah, so they are not open to put it into the team. They're trying to avoid it and to take the politically correct wording.
Yeah, and regarding the trusting and persuading here, you can see that they are kind of pragmatic, more pragmatic that Ukrainians, judging from the working relationship and judging from the real-life examples more than on principles and theories. About Agile, they're quite conservative. Customer will wait. Yeah, we had this situation. when Andriy, can you remind me what was the idea behind it?
So basically, we saw the time to market is like 5-6 months, and we asked like, okay, guys, so any ideas how to improve? And they're like, no, you know, we care about the quality, 0 bugs. We know better what clients needs. What the reason to change? We are #1 platform in the world. So why to change? We know better. So that's about the conservative approach.
Yes, though they invest a lot into working software, and that's something that's that is on top on their value scale. A lot of different technical practices, a lot of attention to quality, and the final result is really good and polished.
And about the changes, even if you have some minor change on the client side, it's easy to change. No, we have a process. Please wait another train in 3.5 months, and let's do it. So no flexibility, even if it's minor change, like change color, move the button to the left, stuff like that.
Yeah. Again, our observations would be pretty short. Yeah, they are conservative, and you can feel it from each discussion you have with them, especially if this discussion is about any kind of a change. And of course, English accent, the real English, not Ukrainian, not Bulgarian, not Israeli, doesn't help. Sometimes I do not understand how people from different parts of United Kingdom understand each other, actually. So what to say about us? Sometimes they don't, exactly. Okay, let's talk about our favorite, precious Estonia. Again, we had a problem with not having Estonia in the database, so we tried to use, you know, the neighbor, the Finland. They kind of have the similar languages. Maybe they work with each other a lot, so there are a lot of flights between these two countries. And we thought, okay, let's give it a chance. And we tried, and what we have seen was really close to our own experience. So probably with some specific dots here, they can be moved left to right a bit. But comparing to Ukrainians, I think they are on the right side.
For example, from the trusting perspective, it's not that easy to establish a personal connection during a few days. Even close to the coffee machine, you're talking like, hey, how are you doing, Tid? And he like, I'm doing good. Coffee, have a nice day. That's it. So it's not
wait a second, you smiled. He didn't.
Yes. Yes, that's the key moment. But in a few weeks, if you are showing him the professional approach, when you show him that yes, it will be improvements, you see the numbers, you see people happy, all this stuff. Yes, he start trusting you, but based on the working experience, not a personal experience.
Exactly. Regarding the schedules, they tend to have very tough and detailed plan for everyone in the organization. We had like 30 QAs planned for 6 months ahead with clear assignments for each and every day for each person. It's like, wow, so many investment into something that we don't believe will work, but they believe it works.
What else?
What else here? Yeah, basically all the rest are really true. So consensual deciding, egalitarian, really works for them.
And
sorry.
From persuading perspective, they do care about the structure, about the process, but they also ask the question, okay, what will be the impact for business, for people, for operational effectiveness? So they are kind of here, at least in the middle, not like Ukraine.
Yeah, regarding Agile compliance, they put a lot of attention to teamwork, sharing the work, sharing the knowledge, being aligned, which is very good from Agile perspective. Though they do a lot of micromanagement when the decisions are taken by a manager himself, and sometimes when the manager is not there, it's very hard to make a decision. Processing tools, extensive documentation, talking to people who sit in next room by emails and Skype instead of just going there and have a talk.
We have a good case, just remembered. It's about giving a feedback. They have an automation team, and you're making a small assessment, like asking, okay, guys, what they're doing, what the feedback, and they think, you know, we are really good guys. We're doing a lot of automation, a lot of internal tools are used by the whole unit, all this stuff. Then you come to R&D guys and ask, okay, so what about automation? You know, we don't trust them. We're like, okay, but you are sitting on one floor. Did you share this feedback? No, they're good guys, and yeah, sometimes we use it, but it's not stable. We would like to have some improvements from their side. So maybe you will convey the message. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, and regarding the functional structure here, so just to explain, there is a development department and QA department. And when we do assessment, we ask guys, do you have any problems with talking to QAs and asking them if they can talk to developers easily and stuff like that? And they say, yeah, from time to time, developers use PMs, project managers, as a telephone. So developers tell project manager, can you go to QAs sitting just in the next room and tell them something? So I don't want to care about it.
Again, maybe it sounds subjectively. I don't know what you think. I think you're from Latvia, Litva, right? Okay, so does it sound reasonable or? Okay.
Very good. Thank you. And some observations in addition to that, a very high level of discipline, so you can always rely on them that they will be there on time, even up front of the time. If sometimes you need to work on weekends, overtimes, guys are there, they will help, dedication and discipline is there. Human values, yeah.
Yeah, human values, they start talking about 6 hours a day because what's the reason to work 8? We are effective, we are delivering what we committed. A lot of information inside the office about the charity, about the, how to say, some health stuff, what to eat to be strong and so on. Working condition is one of the best, I would say, in our company. So they invest a lot into the something that is human, yeah, and you respect this stuff.
Yeah, but they protect their comfort zone a lot. And one Israeli manager complained to us, okay, guys, I don't understand. They do not want to get promoted. I'm providing the opportunities. I want to make you, I don't know, for example, I don't want to make you Scrum Master. No, I'm not interested. So the comfort zone is very, very, very important. And taking additional responsibilities like, no, why do I need it?
And about stability, generally, when we talk with people in Tartu, yeah, they work like 7, 10, 15 years in one company. And we're like, wow. For Ukraine, I know, can you agree or not? I think that for Ukraine, normal is like 2, 3, 4 years maximum, right?
No, 4 years, come on. Yeah, long story short, with Israeli, it's very easy to start any change. You can start talking about it immediately. They get the idea of Agile, they see the value very quickly. The problem is that when change is happening, you cannot push it too far. Yeah, they will do probably one, 2 steps ahead.
Yep.
And they just not interested in the rest of the theory that you bring and complexity and sophistication you can provide.
With Estonians, it's very hard to start, but if they will trust, if they would see the results, small quick wins, and they for sure follow, they will make a, I would say, deep change. It will be a thorough approach, comprehensive, and yes, it will work for them. Yeah. But it's not easy to start.
Yeah, their discipline and sophistication will take them further. Bulgarians, as I say, they are very similar to Ukrainians, just maybe a little bit more calm. We are more like aggressive.
And patient.
And patient, yeah. UK guys, conservative. Estonian guys, we already covered, sorry. So, separately, kind of, we covered them. But how do you think what will happen if you will put them all into one big organization? How do you think it will look like? It will look like this. Yeah? So people are everywhere on these scales. They are so different. They are so...
The difference is significant, yeah? And I think we need to think about these differences, to take into account, to make a explanation. Okay, is it normal to behave like this? Is it professional or not? Because I think you could share the example with Estonia.
You really need to be aware about these cultural differences, and you need to explain to each culture which is involved about others. You need to teach them how to behave. For example, there was an Estonian manager complaining about some Israeli product manager saying, okay, I asked him for some information for our backlog grooming session. He said, yes, I will provide you. And then he disappeared. What should I do? It's so unprofessional. How can we? And we just told him, please call him. It will not be treated as an intrusion into his personal area. His comfort zone will not be broken. He will thank you.
And he will treat it as you are a proactive person who cares, who can reach the important stakeholders. And if you are not making a call, like, okay, so you don't care, basically. Yeah. And I think that those who are working with Israeli companies usually getting the calls at evening, night, and it's getting normal, even for Ukrainians. Because you understand this difference. You know why they are doing that, right?
Yeah, and basically we can conclude that Agile was some kind of a common denominator in the end. That was something that really forced, maybe the wrong word here, but something that really forced them to work together, to understand each other better, to communicate on a regular basis. And we think that certain level of convergence appeared in the very end. And definitely Agile put them somewhere in the balance form. Though, of course, there were a lot of problems into getting people on the same page about it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's it.
Also, Baba, questions? Yes, Andriy. Lady first.
Yeah, first of all, I got the book, yeah. It's actually, it would be very easy to check. I don't know if you still have time, but we can try to do it right now if you have an internet connection, because this database is shared on the Erin Meyer website. You paid $10, we paid, and that's how you get all this information. Yeah, and of course there are Germans on a scale, and
Let's
yeah,
make it
do
during
we
the
have
break.
people with experience working to Germans? You are German, exactly. Because of?
Technical excellence.
Sure, yeah. Thanks.
Andriy, question?
Yeah. Let me answer.
About the
The answer is
travels.
very simple. We traveled 3 weeks out of 4 in March. So that's how we do it directly, face-to-face communication. Of course. And vice versa, exactly. No, not only us, of course. They work with each other on daily basis. There are some people who relocated. For example, people from Israel relocated to Estonia. That's how they get much better understanding what this culture is about. So they transfer that knowledge back to their Israeli colleagues.
Yeah, yeah. That's how you glue the different cultures, right? You provide the examples. You say that's normal behavior. Yeah, you could provide transparency. Don't be accused or something like that when you hear from Ukrainian guys like it's impossible. So, is it good feedback or negative? It's just he
Yeah,
disagrees.
I don't think that we have any kind of structured approach like the one that you have. But I think this is very good. This is very good what you say. Yes, please.
They're usually interested when they needs to collaborate a lot. For example, if Estonians just doing some products and it's enough to make it just locally, they don't care. But if there is a problem from Kiev guys who is pushy or too demanding, yeah, we're here to explain this case, explain why they're making, I don't know, critical bugs, even if you don't agree, yeah, why it's so important. Did you ask the Kiev guys? Did you get the business explanation, so on, so on? So we usually like jump in on some problematic cases and then roll out something similar for the office, yes, explaining the difference.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we don't have a time. Yeah, it was the last question.
Thank you very much for great questions. See you guys there. Thank you very much. Have a nice
Thanks.
day. Enjoy the Agile.